Yellow Card Chapter 2. The Yellow Card Hits Home. Welcome back to the Recap channel. If you enjoyed the first chapter, you're gonna love this one. We're diving deep into the moment when life throws Tiane a curveball he didn't see coming. The yellow card isn't just a warning anymore, it's a call to grow up, fast. The news that shakes everything. It started with a quiet conversation. Juliet sitting nervously across from Tiane, her eyes serious, her voice steady. "I'm pregnant," she said simply. For a moment, Tiane couldn't speak. It was like someone had silenced the world around him. The boy who had danced so freely on the football field now felt trapped in a game with no rules. He blinked, hoping maybe she was joking, but Juliet's face told the truth. This was real. The shockwave through school word spread faster than wildfire through their school. Where yesterday Tiane was the star footballer, today he was the boy with a scandal. Rumors flew. Some classmates laughed, others whispered behind his back, and a few looked at him with sympathy. Even his friends started acting differently. Zimbabwean, usually the loudest, avoided eye contact. Big Joe tried to change the subject whenever Tiane came near. Taku gave him serious looks, like he was disappointed but unsure how to help. Tiane felt the isolation creeping in. At home, the disappointment. When Tiane told his mother, the reaction was heartbreaking. She didn't yell. She didn't scream. Instead, she sat quietly, biting her lip, tears threatening to fall. "I raised you better than this," she said softly. "You had a future, Tiane. What will people say?" That question hung heavy in the air, like the humid Zimbabwean heat. Her disappointment stung more than any punishment. Tiane wanted to explain, to promise he'd fix everything, but words caught in his throat. The coach's tough love. At football practice, Coach Madeira was less forgiving. He pulled Tiane aside after a missed pass and said, open quote, "Life is not just about scoring goals, Tiane. It's about discipline, on and off the pitch. You want to be a man? Then act like one." Close quote. Tiane nodded, but felt like the ground was slipping beneath him. Juliet's battle. Juliet faced her own challenges. Her parents were furious and forbade her from seeing Tiane. The pressure was suffocating. She dropped out of school, forced to carry the weight of the pregnancy alone. But Juliet was strong. She decided to keep the baby despite everything. That decision changed everything for both of them. A hard lesson in responsibility. Tiane realized that this was his yellow card, the warning he couldn't ignore. The path forward was unclear, but one thing was certain: life was about to get much harder. Could he keep his dreams alive while facing this new reality? Or would the yellow card become a red one? Thanks for watching this Chapter 3. The storm unfolds. Consequences and choices. The news of Juliet's pregnancy had already begun to echo through the school, but for Tiane, the real storm was only just beginning. The boy who once moved with the confidence of a champion now felt the weight of the world pressing down on him like a heavy, unyielding shadow. The silence of friends. The day after Juliet's announcement, Tiane walked through the school corridors like a ghost. His friends, those boys who once laughed and joked with him, now seemed distant, unsure whether to approach or avoid him altogether. Zimbabwean, usually the loudest voice in the group, barely glanced his way, and when he did, his smirk was gone. "Tiane," Zimbabwean said once, hesitating before adding, "You need to get your head right, man." Tiane wanted to ask how, but the words caught in his throat. His heart was heavy, his mind clouded with fear and doubt. A glimpse of Juliet. Juliet, meanwhile, was facing her own battles in silence. The once confident girl seemed smaller now, shrinking under the harsh glare of judgment from her parents and peers. The school that had once been a place of learning and laughter became a prison of whispers and pointed fingers. She tried to carry on, but the fatigue of her secret weighed heavily on her shoulders. The growing life inside her was both a miracle and a burden, a symbol of hope tangled with fear. Home, a battlefield of emotions. At home, things had become tense. Tiane's mother struggled between anger and sorrow. She had worked so hard to give her son a chance at a better life, and now it felt like everything was slipping away. One evening, she sat across from Tiane, her eyes searching his face for answers he didn't have. Open quote, "Do you understand what this means?" she asked quietly. "This isn't just about you anymore. It's about a child." Close quote. Tiane nodded but felt powerless. The dreams he had nurtured for so long suddenly seemed fragile, like glass waiting to shatter. Coach Madira's disappointment. At football practice, the atmosphere was tense. Coach Madira called Tiane aside after a sloppy performance. Open quote, "You've got talent, but talent without discipline is like a car without fuel," he said. "You're running out of both." Close quote. The coach's words stung, but they also sparked something inside Tiane, a flicker of determination. He realized that if he wanted to reclaim his future, he needed to face his problems head-on. The pressure builds. Schoolwork suffered. His teachers, once supportive, now watched him with wary eyes. His grades dropped, and with them, his confidence. The expectations of his mother, his coach, and himself felt like a tightening noose. And yet, amidst the chaos, Tiane found moments of clarity. Walking home alone, kicking a ball against a wall, he remembered why he loved the game in the first place. Not for fame or glory, but for freedom. A difficult conversation. One afternoon, Tiane found Juliet sitting alone under the shade of a tree. The baby was growing, and so were their fears. "We can't keep running," Juliet said softly. "This is our reality now." Tiane swallowed hard. "I don't want to lose everything," he admitted. Juliet looked at him with a mixture of sadness and hope. "Then fight for it." The turning point. That night, lying awake in his small room, Tiane made a decision. The yellow card wasn't the end. It was a warning, a chance to change. He would take responsibility, not just for the baby, but for his life. The road ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to fight. Closing of Chapter 3. The challenges were far from over. The path of growth was steep and rocky, but Tiane's journey was just beginning. He had learned that mistakes could define a moment, but they didn't have to define a life. Chapter 4. Breaking Point. Tiane stood outside the modest house of Juliet's parents, heart pounding louder than the distant cheers from the football field. He knew what waited inside wasn't applause. It was cold eyes, folded arms, and heavy disappointment. The door creaked open, and Juliet's father stared down at him, lips thin and jaw clenched. "You have a child on the way. What are you going to do about it?" the man demanded. Tiane swallowed, fighting the urge to run. This was no place for excuses. "I'll take responsibility," he said firmly. The words hung in the air, heavier than the Zimbabwean afternoon heat. Juliet's mother shook her head in disbelief, but there was a flicker of something softer in her eyes. "You have a long road ahead, boy," she said. That day, Tiane learned that adulthood wasn't a sudden jump, but a slow, painful climb, and this was his first step. Chapter 5. No longer a boy. Tiane was changing. No longer the carefree football star whose life was measured in goals and cheers, he now woke each morning calculating nappies and formula. Fatherhood was a strange new game. No rules, no ref, only consequences. At school, whispers followed him like shadows. "Don't end up like Tiane." One goal off the pitch, and his life changed. On the football field, every missed shot echoed his faltering focus. The crowd's cheers sounded less like encouragement and more like judgment. Coach Madira's words cut deeper than any tackle. "Talent doesn't raise babies, Tian. Responsibility does." At home, his mother's quiet sacrifices fueled him. Extra shifts, empty stomachs, and a plate of sadza always waiting, even when Tiane didn't feel hungry. One sleepless night, he wrote a letter to Juliet, not of love, but of promise. "I don't know how to be a father, but I want to learn. For you, for the baby, for me." He never sent it, but writing it was the first time he believed it. The first fall, Juliet's pregnancy was a shadow growing heavier with each day. Her school uniform no longer fit. Her parents barred her from school until the shame passed, which felt like forever. Tiane tried to help, school notes, food, anything she needed, but Juliet changed too. From fearless and bright, she became guarded and distant. Their phone calls grew shorter, smiles faded. One day, he arrived unannounced. She barely opened the door. "Maybe it's better if you focus on school," she said quietly. "And you? I'll figure it out." It was the first fall, not from grace, but from connection. The hardest kind of heartbreak. Now, Chapter 7, Tiane the father. When the baby arrived, Tiane was at school. The text came, "She's here." That night, Juliet's parents gave him 1 hour to visit. He stepped into the hospital room and time slowed. There she was, his daughter, small and fragile, wrapped like a tiny burrito. He held footballs, trophies, certificates, but nothing prepared him for holding Tadiwa. She yawned and he almost cried. "She's perfect," he whispered. "Her name is Tadiwa," Juliet said softly, "because we're thankful." Tiane repeated the name like a prayer. Chapter 8. Red Cards and Roadblocks. Life didn't magically get easier. Juliet dropped out of school. Tiane's mother worked double shifts. Tiane juggled school, football, and side jobs, washing cars, tutoring, sweeping at a tuck shop. One day, Coach Madeira called him aside. Tiane, I've invited a scout to the next match. From where? South Africa, Division 2. But it's real. Coach, I have Juliet and the baby. I know, that's why you need this more. Don't drop the ball. But on match day, Juliet's father called. She's sick, the baby too. Juliet needs a doctor. I have no transport money. Tiane had money for one combi ride. Football match or hospital? He chose hospital. The scout left. The opportunity vanished. Coach was angry, then understanding. That's a red card for your career, son, but a gold star for your soul. Chapter 9. From Goals to Purpose. With football dreams paused, Tiane built a new future. He studied harder, applied for scholarships, tutored younger kids. He and Juliet rebuilt their friendship. Not perfect, but strong enough to co-parent. Tadiwa grew, giggly, chubby, with Juliet's eyes and Tiane's smile. Sometimes, while feeding her mashed sweet potatoes, he whispered, "You saved me." Chapter 10. Yellow Card to Green Light. 2 years later, Tiane was taller, leaner, calmer. His name was no longer whispered with judgment, but respect. Coach Madeira smiled and said, "You're late. Better late than never." A scout came again. This time, Tiane was ready. A youth contract in Bulawayo, modest but real. Juliet smiled. "Go, chase your dream." And Tadiwa? "We'll be here, waiting." As the bus left Harare, Tiane looked back once. The road ahead was open. He wasn't just chasing goals anymore. He was chasing purpose. Final whistle. Yellow Card isn't just a story about football. It's about life, mistakes, and the courage to rise after being knocked down. Tiane's journey reminds us all. We stumble, we grow, but most importantly, we don't give up. YouTube outro. Thanks for watching this chapter of Yellow Card here on Recap Channel. If you're inspired by Tiane's journey from mistakes to meaning, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next story installment. What part of Tiane's story spoke to you most? Drop a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts and experiences. And remember, life might give you a yellow card, but it's how you play the next moments that count. Stay strong, stay hopeful, and see you in the next video.